Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're going to be taking a look through almost the last big pile of large format annuals and books that I've got in my collection. There's a few more to come, but this is certainly the last of the Star Wars stuff, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so we're starting off with this one, which is a vintage Empire Strikes Back mix and match storybook, which is well, it's pretty darn cool. This I believe, well, I definitely had it at the time, but I don't know if this is my original one or not. Now, I have actually bagged this just to keep it in one piece, as you can see. Get that bag out of the way a moment. See, it doesn't actually appear on first glance to be that dirty or dusty, but we'll have a little look through. It's an absolutely mental book, this one. 1980, so yeah, it's got a card cover anyway, and I'd be quite loath to put any of my sort of polish on this one, to be honest, because it being just cardboard, but I will put the brush along there, because potentially that's a little bit dusty along the edge there. But I think I have the good sense to keep this one bagged up, because I believe it is quite a scarce one. So while we're here, we have to have a little look through. So basically, the mix and match element is you can tell a story with lots of different angles. So we could choose a character around, and so we could say Luke Skywalker was piloting the Millennium Falcon on the icy plains of Hoth when a probot floated by and chased him into a cave where a banquet was being held. So there you see, absolutely bananas. But it is pretty cool. I believe Boba Fett's in this one as well somewhere, as I seem to recall. See if I can find him. Yeah, look. In fact, he's at the bottom. So Boba Fett was climbing onto the platform in the carbon freezing room. No, Princess Leia didn't appear. When Ugnaughts scurried by and prepared the chamber where sad farewells were said. That's brilliant, isn't it? Absolutely awesome book, this one, but not actually a lot of cleaning to be done with it. I would say we're probably best not to touch that at all, except that little bit of brush. And I think because it's survived so well in this bag, I am actually going to pop it back into the bag that I've been storing it in, simply because I think it's probably the way to go with this one. Of course, when you unbag something, it never goes back in the same way, does it? So it looks like I had it at the top edge first, like so. There we are. So, an unusual one to start. So let's stand that one up over there. Now this next one is it's also in a bag, but this is the bag that it came in, and I'm sort of reluctant to take it out of it, but look at the state of it. This was how the book actually shipped. So if I take it out, this is 90s now, so we'll just slide this to one side. So what this is, it's the Art of Star Wars book, Art of Star Wars Galaxy, Volume 1, with uncut card sheet. And this is exactly how it came in this bag back in the 90s. So what you got was the book here, fantastic book with limited to 5,000, with a 9 UP, is an unpunched card sheet. So that's some of the artist cards there. This was a great set, wasn't it? Really, really beautiful. There's some of the artist profiles. got this certificate here. Doesn't tell me, they're not numbered, but it just says a limited run of 5,000. And then we've got this yellowed. Look how this is yellowed. It's in a Pro Guard sleeve. It's a yellowed card. The Macquarie Portfolio, card 00 for Series 2. So I'd imagine that's quite a scarce card on its own, I would imagine. But I've always kept it in that bag, and consequently, there's not a mark on it. The book is gorgeous. The card set is gorgeous if you've never come across it. What time and effort was put into this is just fantastic. And this was in, you know, the wilderness years, as it were, for Star Wars, when there was no new material except like the comic books coming out. And they just started launching a new fiction range with Heir to the Empire. And, you know, in my store, we sold so much Star Wars stuff. I mean, it was incredible. We sold absolutely loads of it. And we knew there was a market for it. Just the... there was nothing being produced, you know. So, as much as it looks a bit awful, it has actually done the job and kept this book really, really nice condition. So I'm going to slip it back in there, as I said, because it comes with that sort of sticker on the front there, you know. But yeah, it does look a little bit the worse for wear, doesn't it? But there we are. So leave that over there. Like so. Now, they did a second series, and this is just the regular version of the Star Wars, The Art of Star Wars Galaxy Volume 2. Now, this one's definitely showing some cover sort of mouldiness, possibly. A bit of residue of something. Yeah, look, it's got some foxing. That's a shame. It's just how it's been stored early on. A shame, because even this is almost 30 years old when you think about it, isn't it? Yeah, it's picked up some damp, alas, but it's not the end of the world, so we'll give it... None of these books are in a damp environment anymore, but I think over the years they have had exposure to that, you know, moving house, being stored in lofts and people's garages for a little while. Some of my collection, alas, some of it did get damaged, and that's one of it. And we have seen that a little bit with these large format books, haven't we? Now, I know some people prefer me to do the polishing at the end, but because there's a huge pile, I don't want to be moving these around any more than I have to. I'm going to just do them as we, book by book basis. Thankfully the cover's clean up, absolutely fine. But the inside foxing, I'm afraid that's on it for good. But it shouldn't be getting any worse, shall we say, you know. But yeah, the Star Wars Galaxy cards were just the business, and there was an accompanying Star Wars Galaxy magazine, which I have a full run of those. That was also amazing, and that featured a lot of the artwork that we that you saw in there. They're just absolute knockout, really, really great. Yeah, they were a lot of fun to collect, and they weren't masses and masses of chase cards. That was the good thing. So now we're going retro again with the Art of Star Wars. This is the original Art of Star Wars. I'm going to need to make this pile over here. Just haven't got enough room. So this was the Art of Star Wars published at the time, and they did one for each of the films. But I noticed I haven't got the one for Empire Strikes Back, which is a bit of a shame. Published by Ballantine. Pretty confident they did get reprinted. Let's have a little look through this. Haven't been through this in a long time. I think these were period, you know. Unless this itself is a reprint, I don't know. Let's have a little look here. Well, it is a reprint. It was first published in November '79. This is the 6th printing of this one. Lovely book, isn't it? Not that I mind, because these sorts of things, I'm not fussed if I got the first edition or not. It's not like a really collectible author. It's just I've got it for the subject matter, and this was part of my Star Wars collecting heritage. I thought it was an original because, or from the period, because I've had it so long. But I have to admit, I thought I did have the Art of Empire as well. I thought I had all three, so evidently that one's gone astray somewhere. It's not in my room now. Now, whilst I'm doing some polishing, I have taken some footage, which I'll pop on the screen now, of what I've got left, so you can sort of see what I've done already, large format and annuals wise, and it's quite a lot really. I've worked my way through during this series of videos. I've done quite a bit, and this last little bit we're doing now, and that sort of finishes off my traditional British annuals and sort of larger format books with what we're doing today. But I have still got other stuff. So I've got the my first edition hardbacks, the ones that I keep in the office. They're more modern ones. I've got normal sort of military history books. I've got a couple of shelves still of miscellaneous paperbacks as well. So I've got those to do, which will be a couple of videos. I've got, this is kind of really nice. I've got a shelf of Judge Dredd graphic novels and some 2000 AD related ones that are going to need doing. And then in the bedroom I've got another bookcase which has got first editions, more collectible or older first editions, So I've still got all of that to do, and of course I've still got runs of paperbacks still to get through, Pans and Penguins and other series, so there's going to be quite a bit still to get through. I mean, I've definitely got, I would estimate at least another year's worth of stuff, even if I do one video a week. So quite a bit still to get through. And of course, if you haven't seen any of my older ones, just go back on this channel and you can watch all of these. I am thinking of creating some new playlists on this channel, so you could just watch all the Pound ones together. You could watch all the Penguin ones in order together, all these large format videos together. I think that'll help people who like a particular sort of style of video. But there we are. That one's made quite a difference today. It's come out really, really nice. What a beautiful book this is, isn't it? And if there's one thing you can say about Star Wars books in general, is that on the whole they are of superb quality, and that pretty much is the case throughout Star Wars publishing history. Here it is, the Art of Return of the Jedi. So let's give this one. This one weirdly feels older, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like it's in quite as nice condition as the Art of Star Wars. In fact, it may be I've got some loose pages in this by the look of it. But let's have a look. So this one, copyright 1983. This is a first printing because it's just got the number 1 as the first number. On the last one, it was a 6 printing. The 6 was the lowest one. So I'm not going to be too heavy going through these, but it does look like the book is pretty much ready to fall to bits if I'm not careful. But similar sort of thing to what we saw in the last one there. A very, very nice, but yeah, there is actually a loose panel there, so I'm not gonna dwell on that too much. But I am gonna give it a polish, because you can see there's like maybe a sticker mark there and there. I mean, it may be because I don't believe these books were sold at the time in regular bookshops, and you could sort of get them from specialist shops. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. This may have been something I picked up in Forbidden Planet or at an early comic stroke TV film fair that I went to in London, maybe in the mid to late 80s. I may have got it from there. But certainly I was avidly picking up Star Wars stuff at that point. Now I'm not sure if that's a rub or a sticker mark. It's a little bit of sticker residue. Yeah, there we are. There we are. Clean the spine down. give the back a polish. So as I filmed this one this morning, this afternoon I'm all set to go and film my friend George's 1970s Doctor Who collection. That's coming up this afternoon, so I'm really looking forward to that. A gorgeous book. If you've not seen the 60s collection, it really is outstanding, and yeah, the 70s I'm sure will be just as good. So the Empire Strikes Back notebook. Softback. It's almost like, you know, shooting the shooting script, and like the little black and white like storyboards, aren't they, you know? And once again, you know, I'm sure they did all three, and I'm sure I've got the other ones somewhere. I just I'm pretty sure they weren't with the annuals, were they? I'll have to go back and have a look. Thankfully it's got a nice glossy cover, so we're not going to worry about that. There we are. And I have to say, and I think you saw with that little bit of video I did just now, that the collection that I've done is looking really, really great now. If you'd have seen it beforehand, you would realise just what a massive improvement it now is compared to how it was looking. So I'm really, really pleased that we've started on these, because it's some of the books that get looked at quite a bit, because, you know, the wife works in the office, and I go in there and sometimes do a little bit of writing and stuff, because it's a good, like, sealed environment. So I am in there, and the books do get looked at, so yeah, but that's really improved, that one. Let's see, the top edges are not a lot to brush off there. Now this next one's much more modern. It's a huge tome, Star Wars Year by Year. It's published by Dorling Kindersley, who are like a Penguin offshoot, and they got the license to do Star Wars books, and they did not hold back. I would imagine they probably had to pay a lot for the license. So this is a much more modern book, but it's a nice one, as you'll see. But I've given this one as a present, so it's not actually that old. So when I have a look at the publishing date on this, it's 2016. And this was the first printing for when it came out. So let's have a flick through. But there's not actually a lot to clean. But yeah, a chronological year by year history of Star Wars, and lots of interest in here. Lots of merchandise as well. When the new movies are coming out, all the key things that happened at that time. It's brilliant. Really, really nice. As you can see, huge book, absolutely huge. There we are in the wilderness years, the 90s, when it just started to come back. There was so little being made from the end of the movies to when they actually came back. But the interest was always there. Here we are back into the classic era now. What a nice book this is, isn't it? Really, really great. As I said, generally speaking, Star Wars books on the whole are excellent. You know, they really are very, very nice, and they're very well produced and of a high quality, and that's always been the case. It really has. I think Lucasfilm from the off kept quite strict control over their property. Now obviously today it's owned by Disney, and they'll have Lucasfilm probably has very little active involvement in the property, but even so, back then, even when this was published, it shows they did a really great job at it. So let's pop that one over there. Right, now a bit of a hark back to those earlier books, which is Star Wars Episode 1. So at this point I was a book seller. You know, I had my own shop, and we sold all the new Star Wars books, as you can imagine. And this was no different. Some of them we had as American editions, some of them I've got as British. But the publishing for these sorts of books was done through Random House. And that's what these are. Now this has got a few bits of wear on the dust wrapper, so I will give it a wipe down. It's mainly the edges here. Spine. A little bit of wear on that one as well. But I mean, it's funny that a book like this that I would have had from brand new has actually, even with me being careful, has managed to pick up some wear. And I can just put it down to, you know, times when I've moved house, and for a while the books have perhaps been stored in not the best environment. So a little tip there for the future. Long-term storage is important. It's funny because I actually have a video coming out this weekend, so it'll already be out by the time you view this video, on book protection and long-term storage. So go and have a look at that if you get a chance on my other channel. And I talk about bagging comics, or putting books in comic bags and magazine bags to keep them protected. And I go through a few different examples of what I use. I think you'll find it quite interesting, so have a look at that one if you are interested in protecting your books. So when was this? 1999, blimey. 24 years ago since The Phantom Menace came out. Who feels old now? Right, so that was Episode 1, The Art of Episode 1. This is The Art of Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which is actually my favourite out of the second trilogy, is Attack of the Clones. And this one's in softback. It's still Ebry, which was Random House. So let's give the top edge a dust, because all these books have picked up a bit of dust along the top edges here. Gives a cursory little wipe down. It's not too bad, this one, actually. It's all right. So this was 2 or 3 years later, wasn't it, in the history of Star Wars. There's a little bit more wear on the back here, particularly the little dot there, which we've just got. There we are. Let's have a little look through this one. It's much the same. Beautiful, beautiful book. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, they did a very good job of these. It deserves a place in your library. Yeah, good stuff. Right then, Attack of the Clones, the illustrated companion. Behind the scenes and inside the story of Episode 2. Another one from Egbury. Right, let's okay. This one doesn't seem too bad either, so I'm just going to give it a cursory once over. Looks all right to me. Still got quite a nice white spine on it. But as I said, this was another one I remember, you know, just buying or having sell copies in the shop, and I obviously picked one up for myself at the time. great high quality book by the looks of it. Yeah, lovely. Right, this next one, we're going back to the 90s again, and I remember loving this. Now, this is published by Virgin, the Star Wars Archives, and this book was an absolute bestseller when it came out. At least it was in my shop. We were really, really impressed with it, and it's a great book. It's as simple as that. It was one of the first, it was like a trailblazer to some of the ones that we've seen just recently from Random House there. And this was a great book. It really meant a lot to Star Wars collectors, and we'll have a look through in a minute. But Virgin themselves used to be such a good publisher. I mean, they really did. They were big. I don't think they even exist anymore. They're swallowed up with another, into another conglomerate of publishing. But I had really sort of forgotten about this one until now. It's always been on my shelf, of course, but it's going to look lovely now that we're cleaning it up here. But yeah, I remember this being a particularly nice book, so it'd be very interesting to see how it's held up. Now, this particular one has actually got a little bit of wear. Not wear, but some like soiling, as it were, around the edges of the dust wrapper. So I'm just going to go inside here, and then you see me, I did this on a previous video, just to get this inside bit as well. Like so, and I'm going to do it on this side, just along this edge here, where the dust and dirt has crept in over the years, because I'm pretty sure this was a 90s book. Yeah, in fact, I just see jacket illustration, copyright 1995, just where I'm cleaning now. So this is a 30-year-old book now. It's just the wrapper clean, but I see underneath here it's also got some touches of foxing, or mould has crept in, just some sort of aging, you could say. And we may see a bit of that inside in a minute, we'll have to see. Yeah, there might be much we can do about that, but let's have a look. A little bit. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been through this one. Future Dreams, of course, there was no, it didn't just show Star Wars, there was a bit of Indiana Jones in here as well, as you can see. In a way, it was almost like a cheaper version of the ILM book. You can, each page is uncurling itself. So I need to really go through this one page by page to loosen it up properly, but you get the idea. Some great photos, aren't they? I remember when this came out, it really was the first sort of book of its kind, and I certainly enjoyed it. And I remember when we had the shop, we sold a lot of copies of it. It was as simple as that. We did. It was a really nice Christmas present, as you can see. Very, very nice indeed. There's Lucas there. Now, when was this published? I'm sure it's the official date was 95. Yeah, first published in Great Britain by Virgin Books, and in the USA Chronicle Books did it. Cool. And over there it was called From Star Wars to Indiana Jones, the best of the Lucasfilm archives, 1995. There we are. So now we know. Look at that. Those two pages are. I'm going to delicately go through this one, I think, and unstick all the pages carefully, but it's not too bad. I've seen worse, shall we say. That's not too bad. But it was a good book, as you can see. Yeah, I remember that being a real bestseller. Now, this next little lot shouldn't need too much work, but it's a run of 90s annuals and late 90s and early 2000 annuals of the traditional sense. Now, these weren't actually mine. These were my boys, and as he's grown up, he hasn't got any of his sort of kids' books anymore. But I said, well, don't get rid of your Star Wars ones. I'll just put them with the main Star Wars collection. So I've continued the Star Wars annual run with these modern ones here. But I don't think he ever went to sort of do any of the puzzles or anything inside, even if there are any puzzles inside. So we'll have a little look. And we got a few of these ones. I think, you know, they still do a Star Wars annual today, but you know, these 90s ones are very much of the period, aren't they? Even these are better than some. Yeah, there's a few little puzzles and stuff in there, but I don't think he's done any. But yeah, these are my boys, so saved for posterity, shall we say. So that was 1998. This one is 1999, and I see it's got a sticker from my shop, Purple Haze, on the back there. So it's we probably had some when they were published, because we were still trading then. And like I said, these are pretty nice conditions, so they don't really need much in the way of a clean. And not just that, annuals tend to be, with their nice glossy boards, even if they do need a bit of a clean, they tend to clean up really well, which is super cool. A little bit in the corner there. There we are. Bit of a quiz and what have you. Usual sort of stuff. Right. Phantom Menace is now out for the year 2000. This one hardly appears to be open, so but I'm pretty sure it's the boys. You must be thinking, is this all going to be Star Wars? Well, it actually isn't. I've got my tail end, a couple of movie and TV books at the end to have a look at, so you're okay. But if you're not into Star Wars, you are going to find this one a bit of a boring video, because we've got another 8 or so Star Wars books to come yet. But there we are, it's the Phantom Menace annual. Such as it is. And we're on to Attack of the Clones, 2003. This is 20 years old now. It's absolutely astonishing when you think about it, isn't it? 20 years ago. It's great to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back for the Obi-Wan series. I think they did a good job of that, reviving the two characters. So it was very, very well done. That's absolutely fine. A few more of these yet. 2005. This is a big old annual. Here we are. Yeah. Can't see any sort of marks on it at all. Just give it a cursory wipe down. Yeah. This one looks to be in excellent condition. much bigger than the other annuals. Much over. It's got some comic strips in as well. This is much more improved than that last one we saw. It's actually got quite a bit in it. Brilliant. It's been predominantly comic strips that come from Dark Horse, I guess. Yeah, good stuff. That was 2005. A few more to go yet. 2006. This is also pedigree. I don't know if they're still doing a Star Wars annual. I mean, I'd be surprised if they're not. I mean, it's not like it's gone away. If anything, it's more popular than ever. This one did have a little bit of dust in the top there, so we'll give that a wipe down. Like so. Another nice one. There's a lot of classic stuff in here as well as the more modern ones of the time. That's cool. Good stuff. That was 2006. 2007. Luke on that side and Vader on that side. I think that's the back because it's got the barcode on, so I will say that that's the front. Seems like it's got a little bit of wear, not wear, but just almost a clamminess to it. Weird. Do they call it spot varnish on the front cover? Yeah, just a little bit of resistance running my cloth over it. Weird. But like all these modern annuals, they seem in great shape. Look at that. Look, it's been stained. Let's see if it goes all the way through. That's it's one of these ones which is double-sided, isn't it? Because we've got the two covers. Looks as if it's had. Yeah, just that first page. It looks like something dribbled in there. Weird. Weird. All right, the last of the annuals. 2008. 30 years of Star Wars. Oh, great jacket that one is. Here we go. Another nice looking annual, actually. Yeah, that's really good. That's all the annuals. Now another one that's, I think this might even be 80s. George Lucas, The Creative Impulse. Another book I absolutely loved. Lucasfilm's first 20 years. Alright. I think let's do the dust jacket first. This dust jacket will also need taking off. Because of its age, it's picked up damage, well not damage, but dust inside the little bit of the dust jacket. So we'll need to give it a clean here because it's easier whilst it's actually on the book. I see this is published by Virgin as well. Taking a lot of dirt off these today. Now, I'll slide the book over there for now, because just the little edges here, you see, it's just picked up some edge dust along there. It's simply for its age, because I'm pretty sure this was an 80s book. So I'm just getting rid of this bit along the edge. Astonished at how much dirt's coming off this. Quite a bit. $19.99 was the cover price, I note. Look at this, can you see that light there, that edge of dirt just lifts off with my slightly damp cloth here. There we are. Thankfully a really nice glossy jacket which has done its job of protecting the book, so that looks lovely. Fingers crossed the book itself is going to hold up. So first of all, look at the dust and the dirt. Wow, loads of dust coming off. Feel the pages haven't been opened for so long. This is going to be one that's going to need going through like page by page really again because of the glossiness of the paper. But we'll have a quick flick through here. Yeah, great stuff. The first 20 years of Lucasfilm. Brilliant stuff. I'm sure this was 80s. 92, there we are. First published in Great Britain in 1992. 4 by Steven Spielberg, 4 by Francis Ford Coppola. Brilliant. What a nice book that one is. I don't know if any of you watched the Paramount show The Offer, which was how Francis Ford Coppola brought The Godfather, part of his story about how The Godfather got to screen, the first Godfather movie, and Al Rudy, who was the producer, was a big force behind it. But when Al Rudy, the producer, first approached Coppola to direct the book, the adaptation of the book, he visits him at Zoetrope Studios, and in the background is supposed to be a very young George Lucas. Absolutely brilliant. Only film fans would get that. Anyway, this is going to be the next one, the Star Wars Scrapbook. So, the Star Wars Scrapbook was written by Steve Sansweet, and Steve runs Rancho Obi-Wan in the States. It's a Star Wars museum. It's absolutely fantastic. Steve's got an incredible personal collection, and this was like a little spin-off from the book he did called From Concept to Screen to Collectible. And let's give it a good polish, because it does appear to be in slightly rough condition. So certainly appears to have been through the wars a little bit, this, but I think it's just maybe one of those ones that's a bit more susceptible to storage and would have probably benefited from being in a bag long term. But there you go, these things happen. But that's why we're doing this, to try and get these books back into as good a condition as possible. And I think this one, it's mainly going to be the covers that are going to need revitalising. We have the technology. I think that's got that front cover about as good as we're going to get. Nice fresh bit of polish here for the spine, which is very, very dusty, as you can see. This is another one by Virgin as well. Evidently they had the license for Star Wars and just must have lost it. There we are, that's the spine. Now it does require quite a bit of tactical cleaning, this one, I have to say, so because it really is in quite a state. I'm surprised it's picked up so much dirt. I don't quite know why this particular one is so bad. Put plenty on because it's particularly dirty. Simple as that. Thankfully the polish does seem to be getting the majority of the dirt off, so that's good news. £20 this one was when it got published. Now I see we're going to need to do the inside covers as well. So see it along the edge there? It really has picked up. There we are, but it comes up lovely, you know, thankfully. With a bit of polish, it really does make a huge difference. Do the same at the top there. Well, I'm quite surprised it was in such a state, but we've sorted it out, I think. Let's just do this edge as well, and I think we've just about got it. Yeah, there we are. I think that's made a huge difference. So since we've done all that work, let's have a flick through. And as I said, Steve was a noted collector. Well, he is a noted collector, so it's all full of merchandise. A bit like a precursor to the Star Wars Vault. So it might be worth me actually doing a dedicated video on this one now. I think, because looking at all the stuff that's in it, I think it's going to be, there's a lot of really cool stuff here, which I'd like to get out and explore. So yeah, I think I might do a little dedicated video on this one, because it really is, it's really something, isn't it? Yeah, good stuff. I'm glad we were able to do a little number on that with the cleaning, because when I first saw it I thought, wow, that is really rough, but now it seems alright. I've just spotted another little bit along the top edge there. Will it never end? As C-3PO. Okay. Oh, will this never end? Where was it? Here we are, yeah, top edge. I missed an edge. Can't get the staff, you know. That's what it is. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I think I did the bottom pretty well. Right. Bar taking it in the shower, I think we've done about as good a job as we're going to on that. Because that was quite a dirty book, wasn't it? But now it looks lovely, so that's cool. Okay, so I promise this is the last Star Wars book today. So, Sculpting a Galaxy inside the Star Wars model shop. What a tome this one is. Pretty big book, this one. So, but also fairly modern. So let me give it the dust first of all. Like all the books that we're looking at today, the top edges has all been a bit dusty. But they do vary a little bit. Okay, and we'll give it a cursory wipe down with the cloth here, but in all honesty, I don't think it's too bad. It looks okay to me, probably because of its age. Just a tiny bit in the corners there, a little bit of like storage wear, but that's to be expected, so that's all right. Let's hope it's okay inside. So once again, I'm very curious. It's an American one. $50 this was when it was first published. Yeah, a little bit of sticky pages, as we've seen with some of these today. Well, it doesn't give a date. It's got the copyrights. Well, not 2006. Oh, this is how I'm gonna need to like go through it. A few of these I'm gonna have to go through page by page and like free the pages up. Let's have a flick through, because these big glossy books tend to have a habit of sticking together. This is a huge book, so I won't go through it all, but wow. You can see another really high quality Star Wars book. Very nice. Of course, they've got a lot to pull on, haven't they? There we are. Good stuff. There we are. Yeah, nice book that, Sculpting a Galaxy. Right, now for something completely different with a bit of classic Alfred Hitchcock. Vertigo. It's a nice book, this one, the making of a Hitchcock classic. And it is a Hitchcock classic. It's not my favourite of his. I'd be hard pushed to decide which one would be my favourite. I like Rear Window. Vertigo's good. I like The Birds as well. I don't know. It's hard decision. Probably an impossible decision, really, of which one was my favourite ever Alfred Hitchcock movie. There we are. A little bit of storage wear from when this book came out, which once again I believe it's probably the best part of 20 years ago. It's funny, it's got such a distinctive cover that sometimes, and spine of course, that sometimes I've seen pictures of other like authors and collectors, and I've spotted this Vertigo spine in the background. Wear along the top edge there. But I think I said last time when we were looking at the Hitchcock poster book, the reissues that came out in the 2000s when the film started to get released on Blu-ray, the extras would be how they would restore the films back to their original glory. And they did such a good job. I find those bits about restoring an old classic absolutely fascinating, and the Hitchcock ones are done in amazing detail. They really are. As good as the Doctor Who restoration videos, you know, in my opinion. There we are. So that had quite a bit of wear on it, and you know, cover wear, but it's probably down to when it was published. So it was Titan Books. This was 1999. Wow. 24 years ago. This little celebration of Vertigo was published. Yeah, there we are. Colour section there. Yeah, forward by Martin Scorsese. He's one of my favourite directors. He's old Scorsese. There we are. And then the last book for today is this, The West Wing, the official companion. Now this was published, I believe, just about after the series had finished on TV, and absolutely fantastic show, The West Wing. I really enjoyed it. I've watched it through many times. I tend to do a rewatch about once every, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I tend to rewatch it, and you get to that spot where you can't not stop watching it because it's so addictive. You know, the story, you get so wrapped up in it, particularly the last season. It's just astonishing. But as you would imagine, it does look a bit dated these days, the old West Wing. But highly recommended. There's a great companion podcast, which if you can find that, it's still online. The West Wing Weekly, where they did a rewatch of the whole show. And I got virtually all the surviving cast members did appear on it, all bar I think the president's wife, Chana Stoker Channing. She's the only one I think who didn't actually appear on it and doesn't go to any of the like reunions or anything like that. There we are. Now that's nice, but I am once again going to take the wrapper off so that I can give the top edge of the book a really good brush. I'll just check the internal wrapper here, and I will just a touch of that same little issue where like the dust sort of creeps in the top edges. So I'm just going to do that a tiny bit on both edges. Now I should say next week we're back to more paperbacks again. I believe it's the turn of some more vintage Penguins. So look out for those next week, of course. And then when we come back, I'm not sure, we may do the paperbacks that were in this room that aren't part of any of my big collections, just my normal sort of miscellaneous paperbacks. So we may be doing them as well. Whatever I can get my hands on. Now I don't know, but I would imagine this might have a little bit of page stucking together again, because of the sort of book that it is and when it was potentially published. So, yeah, little bits. It's going to need going through in the usual way, but it doesn't seem too bad. Nice little guide to the series. If you want to know a little bit about American politics, this is a good way of learning it. Yeah, very good. I enjoyed it, that's for sure. And when did this one get published? It was 2002, and I'm just wondering to see if they did cover. They only seem to have the first 2 seasons there. Is that all this was? Did they only do the first 2 seasons? There was 7 seasons of The West Wing, so that's a bit of a shame. I don't believe there's any other companion to The West Wing. Well, there is actually a book called The West Wing Companion. It's like a paperback, episodic paperback, which I have got, published by Virgin again. But I'm surprised they didn't do a similar sort of book for the rest of the show. So if there is one, let me know, because I've not seen it. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed almost the last look through my larger format books. Some fantastic Star Wars books there, that's for sure, but ending on a real high, I think, with the West Wing. If you've enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to give it a like. Do hit that subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage book cleaning action, and I'll be back next Saturday with another video. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.